Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to the Accursed. It's time we spoke about Broods, I think. I've mentioned them here and there in videos I've recorded across the past months, and so far I've yet to give them much of any detail. You see, a brood is what happens when a segment of a family becomes so insular, so self-focused, so... well, not always homicidal. I was about to go straight to the negative, but it's not always negative, it's just often negative. That they become siloed off. The main family often wants nothing to do with them. In some cases, the main family holds them up as the pinnacle, but more often than not, they want nothing to do with this sub-family, this family within a family, this brood. And every single family in Curseborne has these broods. They emerge throughout history. Sometimes they burn out rapidly. Sometimes they are purged very quickly if they're set to cause a great shame, a great disgrace on the family politic. But others persist. Some because they have material on the rest of the family that would be too invaluable to risk losing. Others because they genuinely perform a service that no one else in the family is prepared to do. Some because they have clues toward their damnation and perhaps how to solve it. Others just because they're too damn scary, too damn dangerous, and maybe some of their higher entanglement ancestors are protecting them. So broods do have a habit of persisting, and as they do, they cause carnage, anarchy, havoc within the family itself, and then more broadly the lineage. For example, a lichen brood that may exclusively, when they shapeshift, for example, take the form of fiery... Let's go for fiery foxes. Why not? Well, you could argue a lichen is not a fox, but these ones, for whatever reason, when they shapeshift, they become fox-like forms, still huge in size, don't get me wrong, still devastatingly terrifying, and spitting fire instead of crackling with electricity and roaring with thunder, maybe bearing multiple tails on their hindquarters. These lichens, well, they're probably little understood by their more wolf-like brethren, but something about their genealogy or something about their shared curse is resulting in them constantly being damned in this way. And it's often passed down biologically from parent to child, so that when that child inherits their damnation, they will take a similar form to their ancestor. And such things occur across all of the families, as I say. One of the most notorious are the Latondresses. Now, you may be aware of the Latondress brood. If you're not, there is a handy book available for you to buy, linked in the video description below. They are a brood of the Furies. The Furies, on their own, are a terrifying family of the damned. This is a dead family that rages against the living, that believes in immortal, undying justice within a certain point of view, that vengeance is key to all things, that life without satisfaction, and satisfaction should come through vengeance, is a life wasted. So the Furies aren't always everybody's best friends. The Latondresses are nobody's best friend, except maybe other Latondresses. And I'm going to read you an extract right now of the Latondress brood to give you a little insight into who these people are. You may have heard of them in places such as Junction City. Victor Latondress made his bones, you could say. They emerged in the 18th century, the Latondress brood, during the midst of the French Revolution, a great betrayal of their matriarch. She was fed into the guillotine, and its assorted machinery resulted in her eternal cry for vengeance. But her rage, her homicidal spirit was such that every one of her descendants inherited that same curse. Every child born to a Latondress today is cursed to become a dead of the Fury family. They don't wait for their descendants to live long. They will usually premeditate their murders so that they die before 40 with sufficient cause for vengeance to come back. The Latondresses are spread across Canada and America predominantly. They were exiled from France during the 18th century, and very few of them have ever returned. Every single one of them suffers from uncontrollable rage. Their urges are devious, not just murderous. They tend to be on the less palatable side of murder. For example, each Latondress's fury is directed in some way towards victims who wouldn't ordinarily be targeted by the Furies. Victor Latondress despises women because Julia, his mother, bombed him with the thought that he's undeserving and incapable of receiving the same kind of love he receives from his dear mother. Hercule Latondress is a racist, bigot, unrepentant, because his family have convinced him that everything he ever lost during his life is due to them. Patrice Latondress detests children because she was never allowed to have any of her own, and her family has told her that if she didn't deserve any, well, I say allowed. There's a question there. Was there some imposition put in place by her family to make that rage boil, or was it a simple physical incapability? Regardless, she was never able to have her own, for one reason or another. And so, she believes, as she didn't deserve any, nobody else does. Stephanie Latondress sees her killer's face in every one of her victims, making every single murder a personal vendetta. Jerome Latondress believes all organized religion is evil and cover for the worst crimes known to man, and so makes his crusade to eviscerate true believers. The list goes on. Every Latondress harbours a personal grudge, often irrational in scope, but specific to the Latondress way of thinking. It is a way that's encouraged ancestrally. Now, not every Fury brood mirrors this. Sometimes a brood of the Furies, I can think of the Callahan brood, they are known specifically. All Callahans target other predators. Now, you might think that this is something that all Furies endeavour to do. The Callahans make it their raison d'etre. If they do not have other predators to seek, they will leave their body, turn incorporeal as it's known, and drift away. But for as long as they are on the trail of another murderer, another abuser, or another killer or degenerate, they will see it as their path, their reason for existence, to not just slay, but torment, torture, and ultimately kill, and then bring into the Callahan brood their victim, having shown them, this is what we've done to you because of what you've done, but don't worry, your suffering's not over yet, now you've got to visit on to others. Despite being called the Callahans, not every single one of the Callahans is biologically a Callahan. It's just they get stamped with the family insignia, and then congratulations, you are part of the brood. As I say, every family has broods like these. Some are more malevolent, more extreme, stranger, weirder than others. Some make perfect sense and maybe even seen as the archetype for the family. But remember, all families grew out of a brood. So, what that means is the broods that have come later are almost outcroppings, almost returns to origins. And it's through broods that we grow closest to understanding damnations. If the first of an accursed lineage was only one, and damned others like them in turn, then it stands to reason that the brood came first, the the family came second, and then further broods came third. Will that result in new families eventually emerging from these broods, deviating so far from their source family? That's an interesting question. Or does it require that loop to ultimately solve the conundrum of damnation, cure it, solve curses, lift them off the backs, the heads, the minds, the spirits of all of those accursed? Well, we will have to see. What I would very much enjoy is seeing some of your thoughts on broods we could see for various families that have been introduced in Curseborne, the ones that I've covered in these videos. Comment in the video comments below. Let me know of any broods you've heard of or would love to cover. Brainstorm. Come up with some particularly vicious ideas that tie into one aspect of a family. I can very well imagine how certain broods of the Shimmerai, of, secret seekers, immortality hunters, they can be pretty depraved when they start getting desperate. Even something more mundane feeling, like the archivists, like the wardens. What happens when you deviate from the archetype? What happens when you start getting a little freaky with your damnation? I would like to see those broods. Comment in the video comments below, and I will definitely give them a read and a reply. Thank you very much for watching, and if you are interested in the Latondress brood further than I've described them, find them in the video description below. There's a link to where you can purchase the book with them in. I will be seeing you next time.